So I'd almost be surprised to see that come in. So yeah, this is the same comp they played previously.
Yeah, and if you think about back early days on MIBR, they were some of the early, at least teams in Americas to start running the double duelist comp. So this is not necessarily out of the norm for them. I think Aspas on Raze, can he perform the same way? He's been able to be successful on other maps. I think that's a real question that needs to be answered as well.
I know Bosa had a really good series on Abyss in the last game, but on Bind, on defense, on B, I need him to not get caught out placing down stars and util. The amount of times he gives away those first death, especially against this comp, he needs to be careful.
The thing is, America's teams don't play the Astra. This is something MIBR, Astra, Teo, like what is this nonsense? They have no reps playing against this type of idea, and the Astra operates very differently. Placing those stars down in your defaults early on makes it incredibly hard to do early aggro, especially for MIBR once they go over to the defensive side. This is going to be something they knew in advance coming in, but it very much changes your play style.
Yeah, and I'm reminded of, obviously it was against a different team, but I'm reminded of the last time Fnatic took the international stage against an NA team and played on Bind, and we talked about that earlier today, right, up against G2, and so this is a map that's very comfortable for them, and yes, there are a couple of new faces out there, but you're hard-pressed to beat Fnatic with this comp on this map.
And I want people to appreciate that Alpha is a genuinely good Taeho player. He makes smart decisions and it's not all just pew-pew.
Hey, he's the kind of player you slot him on anything and you know he's going to deliver. That's the beauty of Alpha here as a 5-tool player.
I mean, this comp from Fnatic has so much utility to go and fight you. There's an overwhelming amount when it comes down to the fight, and these maps always get brawly, they always get scrappy.
Like I said, it's a fun day. We're delivering everything you guys want, and I know you're going to want to see these two guys casting. It's Mitchman and Tombiz.
Thank you very much, Yinsu. Very excited to kick this one off. Aspas up against Fnatic. We haven't seen it since 2023 champs. Rolling back the years, but now on MIBR, fresh off the first win for the organization on the global stage. Let's see if they can back it up with a second up against Fnatic.
Yeah, I think most people look at this game and go, okay, you've managed that first match. Obviously, all of the teams from China had their struggles in the opener. Fnatic were not one of the teams that struggled, so it's definitely looking like a different beast, a finalist in Toronto, but at the same time, the squad we saw play from MIBR looked very different to the team we got regionally. So hopefully, we're in for a real treat.
Yeah, Aspas and Verno were definitely the highlights of that matchup as well. I'm curious to see how they're going to perform now here today. On the other side, though, for Fnatic, Boaster had an absolute life game. We know that Chronicle's a consistent factor for this squad, but Boaster hitting that form twice in a row, looking unlikely, I'd say. Who knows, though?
I've seen his operator come out on this map and be fairly fierce. At least for now, though. Start from the defense was a little bit of early B control. However, MIBR seeming passive. Still an opportunity for an immediate rotate from Artsin. But he's going to try and put some pressure in to hold players to this side of the map.
We talked about that utility over on the desk, and we're saying Fnatic have so much util to go and take those fights. They haven't gone and taken those fights just yet, but what we are seeing, the push up coming through from Chronicle. He's fully cleared Bathroom and Exodus of the A site now as Fnatic stack up on B, ready for the hit that MIBR are about to go for.
This is not what MIBR would want to be looking for. They saw a player teleport to the other side of the map, maybe assumed that this would be a little bit more open. That's not the case, though. They're walking into a full stack. Not a bad start, though. Cortezia is going to get the opener.
Yeah, they've come in, drawn first blood. Now the pressure mounting for Fnatic. The remaining players on the site, though, still have plenty of backup. It's a messy fight for Kayak, and he goes down with the punish right after Crash. He's managing one, and Alpha are still flying under the radar, but he used his util earlier. They'll know that he's here. Finding the players a different story, but MIBR making a good job of it. But then Chronicle's flying comes through. A pain in the side as MIBR find only one left, and Alpha's there to clean it up. Fnatic, they made the read early. The push-up from Kron gave them the info, and the stack proved too strong to crumble.
Yeah, honestly, from the position that they walked into, it didn't go too badly for MIBR. Like, I thought they were going to get slaughtered on entry. Like, you walk into a stack of 4 players with one flanking you, but it was that flank that sort of dealt the final blow. Poster already up out of his
pistol round.
My son, my young boy.
Nice! Good job,
Already.
Ronnie. Great
We
job.
are going to have ourselves a little bit of pause to the action. Some issues with the in-ears, but Hopefully that will quickly be resolved. Someone else I want to talk about, like we talked about the highs of the last game. You said it, Aspas, Verno. I think the Boaster and Chronicle, but it was Kayak. There was a little bit of a surprise for me. A very underwhelming first match within the server. I think if they are going to be a challenge for the whole tournament, a contender, he needs to be on point. Especially when they've been at their best. This guy has been, well, people have said, oh, well, he replaced Durka, but he's already outdone him. He's already gone past. And, well, we had Durka up here on the cast of this, so I'm not going to say that's true, but at least when it comes to champions, thus far, it's not really been the case. So I think especially going head-to-head with, I guess in this case, not just Aspas, but also Artsin, he needs to prove that, okay, I am that guy. I can take over games.
Yeah, I mean, EMEA viewers have definitely seen that face to Kayak.
100%.
But on the international stage, here at global events, it's not being the same. And for him, maybe one of the biggest challenges is I look at MIBR and we say, okay, well, for Fnatic to touch base again, Boaster, unbelievable. Life game on Abyss. Chronicle, a consistent factor, and if you've ever seen a global event, you know that. But for MIBR, we know that Aspas and Verno are not the kind of guys who are going to take the foot off the pedal. That's all gas, no brakes. And so for Kayak, you know, already having a poor debut, there's a lot of pressure on him to show up here, and it ain't going to be easy to make that bounce back happen. But we know he's got the level.
Yeah, and I think that's always been the good thing with Fnatic in general is you have so much depth of talent. Like, we haven't even mentioned Alpha yet, but everybody knows what he can do on an international stage. So I don't think it's like... The good thing for Fnatic is they still managed to win without him necessarily being at his best. But again, we're looking at the overall tournament. I think in this match, when you have someone like Aspas, who we already know can be the best player in any server, that's the head-to-head I'm going to be looking at. Of course, it is only our pistol done, but we are going to be getting back into the match nice and quickly as the timer begins to count down. And obviously for MIBR in this round, the main talking point is going to be damage. Can you drop any of those guns? Or in this case, mostly SMGs.
Interesting as well, Boaster was on his feet in that pistol. The only one not to secure a kill. You got to have the confidence even when it ain't going your way. Love to see it.
It's like trash talking only when you win. It's not really trash talking,
No, you got to be consistent with it. And he certainly is. Well, as you said, MIBR, they come in with next to nothing. Up against a lot of SMGs. It's a buy that gives Fnatic fair bit of a punch in this round. And with the map that's in it, good potential for the next as well. There's the first for Chronicle. He's under a lot of pressure, though. Getting hit by that Seize, and with the reload underway for Crashies, he couldn't quite help out. From here, well, I was going to say it'll be difficult to find more impact for MIBR with numbers for Fnatic. You can see Kayak's here to back up his buddy, but Crashies has been hit pretty low. There's still a chance for this to become a costly round if Fnatic aren't careful, and that's why you see this quite timid approach to denying the plant.
Yeah. MIBR actually playing this well. They're trying to bait in any of that additional utility. Try and maybe force someone to make a mistake, reveal a position.
TP option.
They could, back out of this if they wanted to. There is now nobody on the other side of the map, although both salvos are online to potentially try and deny a more valuable plant spot, but
30 seconds left.
Just selling a ruse that maybe they've left. Try and get some players to peak more aggressively. But Fnatic are being patient themselves.
Yeah, even just creating that gap, though. It's worked out so far for MIBR, being able to get boots on the ground to back sight, but with 14 seconds left and Fnatic finding another, this is looking increasingly unlikely, but there we go. The different plant position ends up dodging the salvos. Verno finds Boaster. Remember, Crashies is still very, very low, and he'll fall at Verno's hands. This is already a great round for MIBR, and a chance to build even further. The snake bite down doesn't quite catch Kayak on the edge of the spike, and, well, you can see the gamble is that he wouldn't stick it with that utility in play. A slight missed piece ends up costing them further damage, but still,
it's not bad.
3 kills from that position. I don't think they can be unhappy with that.
The 3 kills in a plant. It also means that going into this next round, you're unlikely to have any of the light shields from the few extra credits that you garnered. And the other thing as well is that normally you see those rounds where it's like, okay, 2 players had a pistol, some had rifles. For Fnatic, that wasn't the case. It was a singular rifle, and then the rest were mostly SMGs. So they're still not going to have a particularly good bonus. But on a map like this, you are going to have opportunities, especially with a lot of these close range fights, these tight angles that can definitely work for those weaker guns.
Already making good use of the early aggression on Fnatic. Kayak covering that bit of space towards bathroom. Allowing Crashies to pick up the orb, now 1 away from the Nightfall. Quite a few weaknesses, the
Toxins going up.
fruit of their labor on MIBR in the previous round. It'll be a slow default, as this can't be one that they throw away. Fnatic are saving up that money for the next. They'll have a full buy, as you'd expect. But in a lot of rounds, you'll see like 2, 3, maybe even 4 rifles brought in by the team that's 2-0 up. With these weaknesses, has to be a round that the attacking side secure.
Well, yeah, the main thing will be gambling on positions. A gate crash taken. Cortezia already adding 1 and a nice double opener in towards that A site. The spike, though, is heading in the other direction, and with Alfia being spotted, I can only assume that that TP must be considered. Walking back into where the rifle is would be risky, but now winning that fight makes all the difference. Verno putting Alfia in the dirt, and nearly all the danger of this round are dissipated. It is still Chronicle, it is still a Sheriff, but I think from this point onwards, maybe even just dying to the spike is the right call.
With 2 players towards the A site, I agree with you. You know, a lot of the time you'll see teams go for the TP before those 2 kills come in on B, but when it's Aspas and Verno who've walked all the way up and long and they know they have 1 rifle, second guy probably doesn't. They're pretty confident they'll take that fight every time. For Chronicle, okay, it's a rifle picked up. Chance for further damage, starting to build. Rotate from Verno, he's going to challenge him in the TP, but this is exactly what Chronicle's expecting. Sees has caught him, door open, and well, it's not going to be quite so simple a play, not running blindly into the TP instead.
I like
allowing the players outside to fight through the door. Lovely, 2-1 now. MIBR with a pretty decent round 3.
Yeah, it's about the minimum you want to be bringing through, the 3 rifles kept, so you're going to be able to come back in with a solid purchase. Operator already being put onto the board by Fnatic as well. Kayak going to try and fight those extremities, of course. When you look at this map, I'd say normally you're going to see some fairly hefty attack sides coming out of Fnatic, but last time they played it, it was also an 8-1 defense, so a map that they feel incredibly comfortable on. And for MIBR, last 2 times they played it, really struggled on that defense. Artsin, though, a sniper of his own and some light shields. In fact, on the majority, that's a huge opener. Response, though.
Ooh. Yeah, doubled up as well. You think once that op fires off that he'll back off. You'll get at least a little bit of space for the life you've traded out instead. Doubling down on the disadvantages with Crashies. Oh, that's a little greedy from Kron. You know, you want to see the jump peek there, grabbing a bit of info, and he goes swinging out wide. Ends up going down to 46. Look, there's still a serious chance, and as you said, the shield's in play. This is a double barrel operator. Chronicle's fallen now on the attempt to cross on backside. Crashy's almost losing his life to that outlaw. And it's Sheenom up top to drop him. The spike back under MIBR's control. They don't know it yet, but they're not even looking that way. Fighting for every inch of ground on this site. And the outlaw really stealing the day for that attacking side. I think Kayak's already called for the save, and
yeah,
with an op, it's no surprise.
30 seconds left.
Huge round coming out from Shannon. Just being able to find 2 fairly impactful kills, and you can see they're still a little bit wary.
They saw him get ult online, so they should know that he was towards B-Long not that long ago. So that piece of information should be in play. But obviously, with the gate crash, you never know. He could be close to site.
Could have gone back to spawn, could have rotated, but they should also know that the operator's online with him getting that opening pick, so it is just going to be the save. And for MIBR, of course, their economy's not in an awful spot, but it's not at a stage just yet where they want to be trying to hunt down every single one of these weapons, try and run down that operator and risk losing their own economy. Instead, they will just be TPing out of there at the last second, just wanting to make sure there's no cheeky plays being attempted by Kayak. And MIBR already are going to put themselves 2 on that board. As said, though, the expectation is they need to have a fairly solid attack side, especially with this comp.
Well, certainly a good start, winning that round number 4. Picking apart this defensive side. Every peak they went for, punished, and I do think the Outlaw playing such a big role, they can't even trade shots. So once that first bullet lands with light shields and some players stripped low,
This might get rough.
it was an easy conversion. Now MIBR, they come into this round and they know they're up against an op. They know that was carried through, but For the most part, it is very little danger, and what danger there is can be very easily avoided. All thanks to that Yoru ultimate being activated. Never mind, Artson has gone down. Chronicle finds one. That's a weapon retrieved for Crashies. With the Nightfall in effect, MIBR, I mean, they're not even back to starting positions. Obviously a man down, but look at where Aspas is.
That's the trouble. He also got hit by the ult, so it's not like this is a massive surprise. The worst thing that can happen to you in this sort of round is ending up being isolated, and I'm looking at the position of the spike. It's very far away from the rest of the troops. Like just making a lurk play, maybe checking if there's any sort of flank, but it definitely feels like a bit of a gamble. Crashies as well, already managing to add another to the death toll, and Aspas, he's kind of stuck in the mud, but still manages to get two. A quick double to make this round look a lot more palatable.
Fnatic haven't yet shown their hand. 35 seconds, and the op is still on this A site. They know about Alfier. Soon they'll know about Kayak as well. That position spotted. Aspas thinking about the deep swing. It's all down to this shot, and it's Aspas to hit it! His third of the round! This man was isolated, caught by a Nightfall, but he became Fnatic's nightmare. The third round looking locked in already. Aspas will finally be put to bed, but it's too little too late, surely. A rifle retrieved for Alpha, but he's all alone. They know where he is. The time is ticking, and not in his favor. And with two players to root out, and no information on where they've gone, he has to choose blindly. Choosing wisely out of the question. And as you can see, as you can hear, time is ticking away. He is trying to bait them into a fight. They've seen he's not defusing, but he's isolated one as a result. Alpha playing this masterfully, but the clock, his biggest enemy, if not the shots from the other side. A 3-2 scoreline locked in for MIBR. They're showing some serious resilience early on Pine.
That round was all Aspas in the end. The way it started off, Chronicle does well. A second pick, taking down Shenum as well. It made things so difficult. And you look at where that utility is put into place. It's basically just to disrupt everything Aspas is trying to do. But while walking backwards, he just manages to dome one of the players. We talk about this guy in terms of having that highest peak of skill, but at this round you can almost single-handedly attribute to him.
Without a doubt. Again, the fact that he's able to have so much impact isolated in lamps when the op is sitting around as well. It's even holding the angle that he swings wide on. But he's just too quick on the trigger, and a timeout called by Fnatic as they are certainly feeling that pressure mount early on. And as you said, MIBR, they need a good attack side. But for Fnatic, they've had a few chances to already make that a complicated affair. But those chances not capitalized on. That's certainly something that Malam and Scott in the coaching booth won't be happy with.
Yeah, I think as well this is a round where I would kind of look at it and go, okay, you got the advantage. There's a part of you that thinks maybe you can just hold. But the way they played that, I'm not mad. Like the salvos, they knew where he was. The salvos were put in to actually just go, okay, you've now got to move. It's just that Aspas still hits that shot. And that's always that characteristic of like, if you started to stop peeking because he's doing that, you've lost. Like you've already lost the game. But at the same time, if he's going to keep doing stuff like that, you may need to adapt.
Well, the barrier's going up on a buy round for Fnatic. Big ulti's online. Kayak's had that dimensional drift for a while, but he has a big challenge coming. Heavy traffic. About to swing right into him. In fact, not swinging. Walking up inside the wall, he spotted one, and he gets out for free. That's a beautiful opener for Fnatic. The response is Showstopper fired through. Aspas doesn't find his mark with it, though. Won't even get Lambs for free. Still has to brawl Chronicle, who is forced back, seized in position. He can no longer hold on to control there. But Fnatic don't need to with the man advantage. That's quickly faded away, though. MIBR, they're rolling all over this A site.
Grenade is live.
Yeah, what? Cortez is just having one hell of a round. Like, again, this was Fnatic in the right place at the right time. They had a stack up. Look at where, well, look at the blue X's on the map around the A site. It wasn't like they were fighting alone. It was just that the duels being won by MIBR. The only one going the way of Fnatic is that opener that took down the Yoru, the player that's supposed to gather you up the space. Even the Showstopper did nothing. And well, for Boaster, You question the potential of that flash in the pan performance. It's not been the same, and the timing couldn't be any worse. It was actually mentioned on the desk by Sue that, oh, sometimes he gets caught in utility. That was almost comedic timing, how bad that was.
What a round from Cortezia. He's been putting up numbers early on here. You know, the showstopper, as well as you said, it didn't find anything. It got them space. But even then, they had to brawl for that space at a man disadvantage. Fnatic backed off. They respected it. They avoided the immediate response, but wow, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah, Cortezia off to a flyer, by the way. 8-2, playing on that Viper. Whew. Jenna, maybe not quite so lucky. That's an immediate pick for Alfia. Bear in mind, the only rifle currently on the board, but Verno's reaction is almost immediate. That advantage hasn't lasted for long. Kayak realizing this fight was not one he wanted to take. Once again, MIBR patient. They know that those salvos are likely to be coming. This time, though, a little bit too late to disrupt that plant.
Leah was sent to the corner to push Aspas out in the open. A decision they might be regretting now as he finds one from his newfound spot. Looks for a bit more up in heaven. He's feeling greedy. No surprise, the weaponry advantage starkly in favor of that attacking side. Verno highlighting it with Chronicle all alone. He'll at least find one. Aspas is low,
Yeah,
although I don't think you're going to win the wallbang fight with that stinger. And he's being taken down by Verno. Verno and Aspas both firing through some terrain to take him out of the play. It's 5-2. MIBR lights out starting this map. Remember, Fnatic won the pistol, the follow-up, and nothing ever since.
Have you ever seen a kill through that wall? I feel like I've not seen it actually work.
With a node,
like,
absolutely, but yeah,
like this is just
rare.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone try and spam. Obviously, he knows he's there, but it's just the confidence that he currently has at the moment, and that trifecta at the top of the board. Verno, Cortezia, and Aspas. Not what you wanted to see if you're a Fnatic fan. Early Viper's Pit to lock down at B long control. But for the majority, it's been the A site hits for MIBR.
I guess the real challenge for MIBR coming into this now. Those ults from Fnatic have been saved up, as the credits have. It's going to be a very strong response. Alpha's going to move quick. He's caught by the C's, but has just enough space to sneak his way out. In the meantime, though, Crashy's through the teleporter and out of the round just as quickly. MIBR, they're playing this so well. Just pumping the brakes, finding their advantage, realizing that, of course, with one player TPing, the A side has to be a bit weaker. But as they've taken their time, the rotate from Kayak, and with his gate crash, he can feel comfortable sticking around on A for a while. But it's come in. He's here with the op. He's holding the ward's bathroom, though. And that Viper Wall will stop him having any impact in shutting down the main body of this force.
Still, plenty of ultimates to play with. That operator in hand, a gap being searched for. But it's Cortezia again. Nice shot, will at least find the trade, but that jump up from above needs to be watched for, and instead it's another wallbang for Verno. There's not really much the remaining two can do. Bear in mind, Chronicle is still within his pit on the other side of the map, and for Kayak, he's not going to try and retake this solo with an operator. Another round for MIBR, and I want to touch on the mention of the calling, because this is Verno, the 19-year-old American IGL and the Brazilian team that, as of right now, is calling a great game.
If I'm not mistaken as well, didn't they say that during the season he swapped to calling at the start of the round and not mid-rounding? Like, he's been finding his identity in terms of that IGLing, and even coming into this event, we didn't know how it would look, but he is back to full calling, start to finish. He is on Kayak, looking to hunt him down. He's found his prey, but Kayak bites back. The op will be saved, will be carried through, as will Chronicle's rifle. He's been quiet over in his pit on the B site, on B long.
He's chilling
this whole round. Another one up for MIBR. That's 6 in a row. And don't forget, we've already had a timeout called by Fnatic, you know? This is the point where we'd be saying, oh, we want to see a timeout.
They called it
about
what,
now, but
3-2?
Yes, 3-2. And it's been 3 in a row. Since then, it's been advantages found by them and thrown away. Or in fact, I wouldn't even say that. Like, Cortezia has been stealing those advantages back at times. And no, like, if you want to have a chance in the second half, you can't really be calling that timeout here. You got to trust the boys to find those solutions. Alpha already in the TP, and you may bet that MIBR, no, he ain't going anywhere.
I guess the assumption might be that that was Kayak baiting. But that's already as bad of a start. Goes 0-9 for Boaster, by the way. Yet to find his place onto the board. Alpha does strike, but he's running back straight into the arms of another enemy. Shenum waiting. And now here's the TP. Chronicle tries to respond. Will be able to force him out, but the reactive smoke gives cover. Oh no, I don't know what's happened there. Complete miscommunication, it seems. That's left him out to dry, and the spike in the hands of Chronicle. This is one of the better opportunities for Fnatic, but they are all isolated. And this walk back from Shenum, I think, is going to meet the exact same fate.
Recovery for Fnatic, it seems. As Artson left alone, op in hand, and he's found one. Over to the rifle. Both players isolated as well, playing opposite sides of this. And he certainly knows that Crashies was around that area. Could now, of course, have pushed up the long. Oh, it's going to be a deep play from Artson. I like the idea, but Kayak was patiently waiting for it. Finally, a response from Fnatic, breaking the 6-round streak MIBR put on the board.
Yeah, I kind of look at this one, though, as quite a bit of miscommunication. Like, Verno having his back turned. I think it was the same when Shenum died as well. Back turned, the last kill, back turned. Like, this was all players that... Okay, this one, there's no way he could have had the information, but it seems like they lost control of the map. And, of course, Fnatic, you need to give credit as well to Crashies for taking that amount of space in the late round as well, but... It's not what we've seen thus far from MIBR, of course. No problems for them coming back up with a buy still. Having the Viper's Pit, but that has been online for a little while. And once again, Crash is going for the same push-up.
Braun does well. Artson pushing a little before the wall, fully blooms. He will be punished. MIBR, these... Oh, nice spam. These defaults have found them a lot of value in the early round. But in the last, they were spread too thin. It could be the same here. Crashies walking up, and he will get the jump on Cortesia with Verno down as well. This round seems to have no contest from MIBR, bar the little bit of damage done. And now look at the position of Chronicle. He stepped foot on the spike, and he even manages to secure a little bit of space. His teammates rushing to his side. There'll be no further fight from him until the numbers are by his side.
Crashies will have a 1v1, but he's won it. That leaves Shenum alone. Other side of the map, and that will be Boaster being able to close that one out. A flawless round from Fnatic, and it seems like the success they're finding is off that little bit of aggression. MIBR, when it comes to these early fights together, having these rotations back could look very good, but these last couple of rounds have been a little bit more in terms of the solo fights, and I was just about to say, I wonder if we're about to see a pause out from MIBR. We are.
Yeah, I think just getting a little bit too sloppy there in the early round, offering up picks, going ahead of the wall, peeking wide into the op. And as I said, just being spread that little bit too thin, even getting caught off guard by Crashies going for the same push that he did previously. It will be a moment for MIBR to go to the coaching staff, quickly course correct, but already 6 rounds on the board. The thing is, as you highlighted coming into this, Tom, it's the defensive side we have worries about for MIBR. This half ends up 6-6, especially with the strong start that they had. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow when they move to the defense.
Yeah, like obviously I think coming into the tournament they've looked in much better form, and even when they did play against the likes of 100 Thieves and NRG, they were both very close games, but a lot of that was their attack. It was their attack that really drove things home. And for Fnatic, we already know that, especially with the amount of utility they have, they have always been very solid on that attack side. For now, at least, though, no struggles just yet in economy, but you do almost feel like, at least for the side of Fnatic, they win this one, and the 6th round for them may just be in the bag with how low the credits are getting for MIBR.
Well, barriers going up, and a big round for Fnatic. Full royalties to play with. Haven't got that Viper's Pit back online, but we also haven't gotten to see the ult popped by Alpha here. We've already seen the impact that those salvos can have if well placed, and you might see what happens when it's combined a little bit later on. So Alpha seems set to be alive for a retake if Fnatic need it. MIBR sending every single player towards this A side, already expending some utility in that direction, hoping that they get some aggression. This was Artson sent out to catch that bathroom push, but a very patient display from the defense.
Yeah, I guess expecting a change and thus delivering one of their own. But also, again, look how many ultimates are available for Fnatic. They can take that little bit of an extra risk, and it won't cause them too many issues, though. Saying that, Chronicle has taken a fairly severe amount of damage. Rotation coming in from Alpha yet. That Armageddon has been online for a long, long time. And the counter already being thrown in to try and deny that showstopper, but it will not be denied. The response, though, from Crashies is huge.
Another for Crashies! He'll find 4 before falling! And Artson attempts to drift to another dimension, but he is sent straight there. A one-way ticket to round 12 as 6-5 is locked in. The climb back from Fnatic impressive, not just in this map so far, but in this round. Crashies dug so deep for that play, and they had lost a lot of control. Kayak being baited out by the decoy. It was a free kill for Artson towards the bathroom, removing that operator that has been such an annoyance when it comes to pushing that A site. It seems like MIBR did all the difficult work, and then they found an unexpected roadblock.
Yeah, he had to react quickly. It was his ult that left a lot of them low. And from a fairly commanding position, MIBR are starting to slip. They've still got stuff to play with in this round, though. That Viper's Pit has been online a ridiculously long time, and with the Dimensional Drift available, it's going to be Artson trying to take the space, and he's successful. An opener, a second going their way, and this time Crashies is not close enough to respond. They are, however, going to try and utilize that Teo ultimate, but to no avail. It's only delay.
Yeah, it buys them time, but there's a minute on the clock. With the Viper's Pit down as well, that retake's just become so much more difficult. With Alpha going down, they've lost elbow control. The flank from Crashies is still so far away. When Chronicle stepping to spawn, I mean, they're still going to be wary of that position. Even letting the decoy go past, but you can see Artson has one job here. Stay close to that pit's edge with a shorty in hand, and when it falls, he goes swinging in alongside Verno. Beautiful work from MIBR to lock in 7-5.
Yeah, they made that response. I like the immediate aggression out from Artson, using his ultimate for space. They had a set play based around that Viper's Pit, and it worked out wonderfully for them and for Fnatic. With the amount of death toll that they had already taken, it was just too difficult to get back into the round. Still, a pretty solid recovery for them. Nonetheless, we've got a very special guest down on the stage who is standing down there with Lou.
Et je suis ravie d'accueillir la belle-sœur du GOAT, Aspas, back to family interviews now with Aspas' sister-in-law, Rafaela. Thank you very much for being here, Rafaela. Welcome to Paris, first of all. And the first question I wanted to ask you is, I think you know how popular Aspas is in the Valorant community. So how does it feel, you know, having such a superstar in the family?
Hi, for me it's very cool. I really like have a
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can see that he's one of the best players in the world, definitely. Donc, qu'est-ce que ça fait d'avoir une superstar comme ça dans la famille? Elle sait à quel point il est connu. Bah, tout simplement, il est trop cool, il a trop la classe, et je suis très fière de lui. Second question, there is also a big love for FPS games in Brazil, right? So, what makes Brazilian teams like MIBR so interesting to watch?
Maybe because they have aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive.
Yeah. And very happy to watch.
Yes. Yeah, they're like cheering and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's indeed a very solid answer. Donc, qu'est-ce qui donne un petit peu envie de regarder les équipes brésiliennes? Qu'est-ce qui fait qu'elles sont si intéressantes à regarder? Ils sont très agressifs et sur scène, ils sont tout le temps heureux, ils sont tout le temps là en train de se cheer up. And finally, a little bit less serious question, but what is the best food you've tried so far in Paris?
French toast and hot chocolate.
I think that's a very good French breakfast indeed. Thank you very much. Donc forcément, les toasts français avec du chocolat chaud, c'est son plat préféré en France. Thank you very much, Ferrer. Obrigada. And I think it's already time for us to get back to the game.
It is indeed, Lou. It's time to get back into Fnatic versus MIBR. Half one, 7-5. And we had lots of standout players and standout moments. But stealing the show, I think, with that big play was Crashies with the 4K. But Aspas delivering round-on-round success for MIBR has given them the lead.
Yeah, you could look at it in the Coinbase Econ report. Like, he is definitely had his moments. I think he's had the number of Kayak as well, which we spoke about that as sort of the battle of the two. I still think Kayak had a pretty decent first half overall, which I think going into the second is going to be important. We know that there's going to be a lot of aggressive utility, especially off the back of the likes of Alfia and Crashies to put him into positions. Boaster as well from the backline, going to be putting down those stuns. But the man who needs to take the space is going to be Kayak. And if they can get into those post plants, that is always where Fnatic have been fantastic. The good thing, though, for MIBR, this double duelist. You're going to try and disrupt that. You're going to try and get ahead of any of those executions. And we'll see if they can make that work on their defense.
All this pistol round could bridge the gap for Fnatic or send MIBR way into the lead. A slow start from Fnatic. Who could have guessed? Their attack side, for those of you that don't know, have you ever watched VALORANT before? But they really like to play this slow, methodical. For MIBR, I think that's going to be one of the challenges in this series. But I think it also comes with an element of readability. Difficult at times, perhaps, to sit in their positions and put together the pieces of what Fnatic are trying to do. But already we're seeing some utility put out on B. The info goes back in MIBR's favor that no one's actually there, no one's taken long control. And they might start to get itchy feet on this B stack.
Well, that's the thing. It was those 4 players set up initially, although the one on the other side is Aspas. So if anything, you kind of feel like it's a balanced setup. But his job is basically to just try and pick some people off and then maybe use those paint shells to deny. It's all a ruse, though. It's a fake back in the other direction. The push-ups already come in. MIBR are in a fantastic spot to try and deny this space being taken. They've had to double back because of how far the Chronicle managed to get into that A site. He made the realization, but now that spike has been dropped on the deck. This is looking fantastic for MIBR. 15 seconds. There needs to be a huge play, and in fact, the plant probably not even going to go down. Artsim from behind has already shut this down. Chronicle, 1v5, no chance, a flawless pistol for MIBR.
The lead extends in MIBR's favor. They lost the opening pistol, still ended up going out of that half with a 2-round advantage, but here the proactive early aggression. But it's not even that early. It's not like they started the round. Oh, let's push down on
like
short.
30 seconds.
Yeah. They're waiting. They're running that clock down and realizing, okay, Fnatic should be going for a hit soon. They should be looking for space. Let's see what we can find. And this is what I'm saying. Like, it's very difficult to play against Fnatic the first time. But if you know how they play, you know that you have to search for those gaps. And MIBR have already cracked the code there in the pistol. See if they can continue to do so. This one should be an easy follow-up. Big investment from the defensive side. They've already lost one player with only one pistol carried through. Anything else for Fnatic is a bonus. And there's Shenum gone as well.
Yeah, they also have to somewhat wait for that other player to get back in to even retrieve one of those guns. Timing should make it fairly easy.
Phantom's up top.
There's also a Guardian to be found. They're not going to get anything? No, they at least managed to get the one. Did they get the Guardian as well? I don't think they did. No, they didn't. So that's at least one gun drop. Not the worst, but obviously on the other side of things for MIBR, they're still going to come in with a few to play with. They've had some of those individual moments of brilliance, and
time to jump.
If they get one in this round, if anything, they're on the path to taking their opponent's map choice.
Oh, Abyss up next. See how that plays out. Boaster's having a tough run of it, and he was a big factor in them finding success in their previous series up against RRQ. He still has just that one kill he closed out the last half with.
Yeah, I like what we just saw from MIBR. So that was the haunt over the top into the smoke with the flash behind it. They were hoping to try and put Aspas into a position to find an Opera on those players who are waiting around Fountain, but nobody there. it is Fnatic playing in such that passive style that it starves the opponents of information, but we've already seen that MIBR have done quite well in the first couple of rounds to react to that. And with Artsin only having a pistol, he's happy to play up close.
The lack of over-rotations as well. A lot of teams will make that push-up, see nobody, and just go flying towards the A side, assuming that the hit's elsewhere. But used to the slow approach, ready for it at least. Artsin, is he going to go through this wall? He's only got the Ghost to play with. One of the two weaknesses for MIBR. Uses the decoy to push them back, and it's a lot of stoppage from MIBR, keeping Fnatic down to 20 seconds before they've got boots on the ground. Aspas falls with the wall bang. Verno doing a ton of damage. Oh! He'll take down Kayak, and he leaves Boaster, Alpha, and Crash. He's all very low. The
so
volley
close.
just misses. The plant will be secured still. A huge opportunity. With Alpha regenning his health and dropping Verno, they could clean up the rest of the kills on the site. In fact, Alpha even gets challenged deep, and it ends up in a 1 versus 1. Cortesia alone. And no idea where Alpha's gotten to, thinking maybe that he's fallen back, but Alpha's close on the site, in that corner, just to his left, crouched down. The read is there, and so is the round for MIBR. A seeming death sentence for Fnatic. As double digits secured by America's #4.
Yeah, what a round. Cortesia again, just having these moments of brilliance, but I want to give the credit. I just want to say to the core, like, look how delayed or how much they're holding their utility. That Haunt came online ages ago. But Verno knows, okay, if they're going to play slow, I'm going to keep this to the end. Still had a Prowler, still had a Molly. Even still had the clone to throw out. They're literally holding everything until the last 35 seconds, and it just allows them to buy so much time. And then you add in that little bit of individual brilliance once again from Cortesia. And that now puts them 5 rounds into the lead.
Trades to start this one, but that's a big weapon for Fnatic. You saw the Guardian in hand for Alpha here, but look at the rest of the pieces. 2 Stingers and 2 Sheriffs, at least site control for Fnatic, but the spike is miles behind. It's being caught by the Prowler. Boaster's got to run for the hills, and he's trapped in the corner. Verno won't let him escape. The spike secured now. The defensive side can't get there too easily. Crashy's embedded in the sights, being spotted. Shenum dealing with a major threat in this round, and you look at it, Fnatic, they're going to go back. They have to go back. So much presence for MIBR, the utility and the spams. It's given the presence away, but I like the fact that my main worry was that Cortesia was a little aggressive on B. Now he's backed off, he's given that space. There seems to be nowhere that Fnatic can go with favor.
Yeah, they tried to fake the steps. No steps were faked. I don't know how Chronicle survived there. I don't know how he's alive at this stage of the round, I'll be honest with you, but I don't think there's any chance of him winning it from here. Even a cheeky little blast back jump from Aspas. 11-5. Fnatic's map choice. A team that I think many coming into this matchup will go, oh, okay, they beat BLG. China's #1, but I think a lot of people have sort of slept on that as a result because China as a region has been suffering this event. But they are proving that that was not just a singular performance. And what you mentioned about that second pause and wanting to save it, I'll be honest with you, Mitch, I feel like it's a little late.
11-5? Yeah. I mean, for Fnatic, 11 is the magic number on the other side of the stage.
That's 11-3, though. They got too many rounds.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
damn it, actually. Yeah, the code's being cracked. Give them a few extra, and then what can they do? But this has got to be a frustrating start for Fnatic. Keep in mind, the next one up is Abyss. As we said, somewhere the Boaster was a major factor in making that a strong map for them in the last matchup they had against RRQ. He's having a slow start here on Bind, and most importantly, Bind is Fnatic's pick. They came in ready for this, and it looks like MIBR's prep is standing to them a little bit better.
Yeah, but also just look regionally. Over the last 3 months, Fnatic have been 4-1. Their only defeat was to Team Liquid, who were the best team in EMEA, at least, coming into this tournament, and it was an OT defeat. This has been one of their best maps, and right now, well, for MIBR, who during the regular season struggled massively within Americas. They are looking completely different the second they've made it to Paris. Bear in mind, this is a spot in the playoffs. A lot of people didn't even expect MIBR to be here, let alone potentially a map away from playoffs.
Well, they came here early to Europe, got a week of boot camp in. I don't know what they did at that boot camp, but it seems to have completely changed the look of this team. On the defense, we were worried.
Yeah.
You know, did they have enough rounds? 7-5, even with a pistol. But arguably, this half has looked stronger for them so far than what we saw in the previous. And for Fnatic, they are running out of time. The pause called. This is the moment to put the pieces together. But so far, MIBR are the ones with the greater vision.
See, now, from watching your gameplay, I've seen an Odin plenty on this map, but I don't know if I've seen much of it over on the B side. Is he going to swing? He's swinging with an Odin. Okay. That's not what I expected, but I guess his teammates managed to get the trade. The Odin has been sacrificed in order to clear Kayak.
I actually do like, well, I don't like him shift peeking it like that, but you're assuming that no one's pushed up because so far Fnatic have been extremely slow in taking B long control, and when they have, there's utility to follow it. So the assumption here is that that orb's going to go up and they'll start walking and you can spam through it.
There's still the nade, there's still both flashes, there's still a molly, like none of the utility has been baited out just yet from the side of Fnatic. They are running into the blender. Caught to zero up close. Has already managed to drop Chronicle. They have 10 seconds. They have to go through a molly. They're not baiting out any of the utilities. 6 seconds. And if someone swings this, it's all but over. The round is gone. Fnatic are just capitulating. They are making this far too easy for MIBR, as they have every single piece they could desire all the way to the last 15 seconds.
Just a top-down approach from MIBR, losing the opening pick, trade quick at least. Still makes it difficult for the defense often if you don't have the numbers, but that utility buff making one hell of a difference. It takes Alpha out of the play, leaves that planter with only one player to cover, and an easy swing closes it. 1 round needed, 7 chances to close out Fnatic's map pick. For MIBR, you can write off that first match. You probably can't, but a lot of people will anyways. But they do it twice, and there's no talk of a fluke anymore. This team has leveled up in the downtime. Their reward now seemingly seconds away. Showstopper on the Boaster, from bad to worse for Fnatic's IGL. And a 5 versus 4 the Fnatic are facing into.
A minute left, which means we probably won't see the move for another 50 seconds. Smoke down to delay. Nade still available, C still available, Snake Bite still available, Orbital Strike, Molotov. Like, there's so much to slow Fnatic down. Orbital Strike even just going to be sent out a little early. They know what they've got available, and 3 players on this site. Nightfall used to clear, Molotov to make things awkward. But still they survive at the back of the site, and the smoke is going to slow them once again.
Artson's behind them. This TP taken. It's going to at least send most of the squad out of the way, but Chronicles caught on the rotate. Another man down. Aspas, such an unusual position. He's caught with nade in hand. Fnatic will at least get a plant now because of that pick. A chance for them as Alfier is caught up close. They're being so patient in clearing these angles. That spam looking deadly. Cortesia again delivering when he's needed. Alpha popped the ultimate, but I mean, he needs time here. It's not ticking quite quick enough, and 2 players to find. Caught looking the wrong way. Artson to seal the deal. MIBR 13-5. It's decimation on map number 1.